I was born in the year 1453, he said quietly, during the fall of Constantinople. My mother died in childbirth. My father was a general. He gave me to a monastery because he didn't know what to do with a cursed child. What do you mean, cursed? I didn't cry, he said. Not once. Not even when I was cut. They called me the devil's son. They said I had no soul. Do you? He looked at her for a long moment. I used to think I did. Then I met a man who offered me eternal life. Said I would never suffer again. That I'd never be weak or afraid. All I had to do was die once. Anna swallowed hard. So I let him kill me. And then? I woke up with blood in my mouth. The world was quieter. Slower. And brighter in ways it shouldn't have been. I could hear insects crawling in the walls. I could feel people dreaming in their beds. I could smell every lie from 100 feet away. His eyes glowed faintly. I was no longer a man. I was something else. He stood, walking toward her. But there's a price for everything. She looked up at him. And what was yours? Loneliness, he whispered. And the hunger that never ends. Anna couldn't breathe for a moment. She wanted to look away but couldn't. His presence was magnetic. Terrifying. Beautiful. I don't pity you, she said quietly. I don't want your pity. Then why tell me? He knelt in front of her. Because you haven't run yet. And because you see me. She didn't know when her hand moved, but suddenly it was on his face. Cold. Smooth. Like carved marble. But under her touch, he trembled. She leaned in, lips brushing his. I see you, she whispered. He closed his eyes. Then, his body tensed. And he was gone. Just gone. A gust of cold wind replaced him, sending a chill across the room. Her curtains flapped. The lights flickered. And she was alone again. But on the table was a note. A small card with red ink. Do not invite the night in again unless you are ready to become its bride. The next morning, Anna woke to find a necklace on her pillow. A small, glass vial, filled with a single drop of red liquid. Blood. She was sure of it. The note inside read. Wear it. It marks you as mine. The others won't touch you. The others? She clutched the vial tightly. Was he protecting her, or claiming her? She wore it anyway. And when she walked through the hallway later that evening, she saw something new on the wall across from 3B. A mirror. It hadn't been there before. But when she looked into it, he wasn't there. Though she could feel him standing beside her. Watching. Wanting. Waiting. Chapter 4. The hunger between us. Anna had never felt watched the way she did now. It wasn't paranoia. It wasn't nerves. It was presence. Thick. Heavy. Constant. No matter where she stood in her apartment. At the kitchen sink, curled on the couch, lying on her back staring at the ceiling, she felt it. Him. As if his gaze could reach through walls. As if the thin door between them was only symbolic now, and he had already claimed her space, her time, her mind. The vial of blood around her neck pulsed with a faint, eerie warmth. She had taken it off once, to shower. When she stepped back into the room, the air had gone cold. Her reflection in the mirror had vanished for a moment. Since then, she hadn't removed it again. She wasn't sure if it was protection or a curse. But she was sure of one thing. She had never felt more alive. 3 days passed. He didn't knock. He didn't enter. But he sent things. A book appeared on her windowsill, Bloodlines and Bonds. A poem, handwritten in ink darker than night, slid under her door. I dream of your pulse pressed to my mouth. I ache with patience. And then there was the wine bottle, left with no note. Inside it, thick, dark liquid that was not wine, not quite blood. She stared at it for hours before pushing it into a cabinet. And still, she craved more. That night, the hunger wasn't his. It was hers. She crossed the hallway barefoot, heart pounding louder than her steps. This time, she didn't knock. She simply opened the door. It was unlocked. The air inside was thick with incense and something sharper, like burned herbs and the faint tang of metal. The room was darker than before. Candles burned on every surface, casting shadows that looked like moving figures on the walls. He stood at the far end, in front of the fireplace, shirtless. His back to her. Skin pale, marked with ancient runes that shimmered faintly under candlelight. She closed the door behind her. "I waited for you," he said without turning. "I thought you wouldn't come again," she whispered. "I was afraid I'd take too much." He turned to face her. She gasped softly. His eyes weren't just dark now. They glowed, a deep, bleeding crimson, alive with hunger. "I'm not afraid anymore," she said. He moved toward her. Slow, controlled, like a predator. But his eyes, they looked tortured. Wild. He wanted her. But he was holding something back. Barely. "You don't know what you're offering," he murmured, standing just inches away. "Then show me." His hands were cold on her skin at first, but the moment he touched her, her body heated like fire. He kissed her not like a lover, but like a man starving. Like her lips were the first taste of something sacred. She arched into him, fingers digging into his shoulders, breathing his name even though she didn't know it. "I could destroy you," he whispered against her neck. "You have no idea what I'm capable of." "Then ruin me," she gasped. "But do it slowly." He froze, his breath sharp. "You really mean that?" His voice shook now, with hunger and restraint. "Yes." His lips brushed her collarbone. "I will never be gentle." "I don't want gentle." And then he broke. She felt the press of his fangs at her throat, barely there. The threat of pain. The promise of pleasure. His hands wrapped around her back, holding her firm. As his mouth opened against her pulse. "Last chance," he growled, voice no longer human. "Say stop and I'll vanish." She tilted her head. "Bite me." Pain bloomed like a flower made of fire and ice. Sharp. Sudden. Beautiful. Her knees buckled. He caught her. The room swayed. Her breath hitched. She clung to him as he fed, not draining, but savoring. Every heartbeat passed through him. Every drop was a thread binding them tighter. She heard herself moan. Felt the warmth spread through her like ecstasy. And then, he pulled away. Blood traced his lips. He licked it clean, staring at her with something between reverence and regret. "You taste like longing," he whispered. "Like something lost." She collapsed into his arms. He carried her to the velvet couch and wrapped her in a thick fur blanket. "Rest," he said. "You'll feel weak for a while." Her head rested against his chest. "Was that what it's always like?" she asked. He chuckled darkly. "No, Anna. That was just the beginning." She woke hours later, still in his apartment. The fire had died down. He sat nearby, writing something in a journal. His face looked younger. Softer. Almost peaceful. "Why didn't you take more?" she asked. He didn't look up. "Because if I lose control, I don't stop." "Do you love me?" she asked suddenly. The pen paused. His voice, when it came, was quieter than she'd ever heard. "I don't remember what love feels like." She sat up, weak but steady. "Then let me remind you." Chapter 5, His Bite, Her Choice. The sky was blood red the next evening. Clouds curled like claws across the horizon, and a storm gathered over Marrow Heights like a warning. Anna stood in front of the mirror, touching the faint marks on her neck. They weren't wounds anymore. They were memories. His teeth had broken her skin, but it hadn't scarred. Instead, something shimmered there now. A pale crescent, barely visible unless you looked at her under moonlight. She wasn't the same. She could feel it. Colors looked deeper. Music sounded sharper. Food didn't taste like much anymore, but touch did. Emotion did. Especially when she thought of him. The vampire. Her vampire. But he hadn't come back since that night. 3 days. No notes. No whispers. Not even footsteps. She had returned to 3B twice, each time finding the door locked. The third time, it was gone, completely gone. As if the apartment had never existed. Just a blank wall where it used to be. Was it magic? A warning? Or had she imagined it all? No. She hadn't. She could still taste him on her lips. Feel his hands on her skin. She had given him her blood. And something more. And he had taken it. Then vanished. Until the letter arrived. She found it pinned to her pillow. No stamp. No envelope. Just heavy parchment, scented with ash and rose petals. The handwriting was his. If you still want me, come to the rooftop. Midnight. Alone. But know this, the decision you make tonight will not only shape your life. It will end it, or begin something else entirely. She read it 3 times, heart pounding louder each time. And then she got dressed. The rooftop of Merrill Heights had always been locked. But tonight, the door stood open, the lock rusted away like it had aged 100 years in a day. Wind howled through the open space, and clouds rolled like waves across the black sky. Candles burned along the edge, flames unmoving in the wind. He stood near the edge, coat billowing behind him, eyes glowing crimson in the dark. When he turned to face her, it was like looking at the storm made flesh. I didn't think you'd come, he said. You knew I would. A flicker of pain crossed his face. You don't understand what you're asking for. Then tell me. He stepped closer. I want you. More than blood, more than breath. But if you come to me now, I can't protect you from what I am. You'll be hunted. Changed. Marked. I already am, she said. Look at me. Listen to me. I'm not the girl I was when I moved in. You still have a choice. And so do you. The wind surged. Thunder rumbled. The candles flared higher. He reached for her hand, pulling her against him. His mouth was close to her ear. I've spent 500 years surviving. Alone. Feeding. Running. Killing when I had to. But you. He paused. Swallowed. You woke something in me I thought had died. Anna rested her forehead against his. Then don't let it die again. Lightning flashed. Rain began to fall. He gritted his teeth. If I do this, you'll be mine forever. You'll feel what I feel. Hunger. Heat. Rage. Lust. You'll remember your human life the way people remember childhood dreams. I want it. You don't know what it costs. I don't care. He looked at her like a man starving. I do. For the first time, he trembled. I can't take your soul if you give it willingly, he said. But once I bite you again, and you take my blood, the change begins. You'll never go back. Anna reached up, pulling the necklace off and dropping it to the ground. I'm not going back, she whispered. I'm going forward, with you. He kissed her. Fiercely. Desperately. And then, he bit. This time, she didn't cry out. She gasped, yes. But not in pain. In fire. His fangs sank deep. Her hands clenched his coat. The world spun. Then he bit his wrist. Held it to her lips. Drink. She hesitated for half a heartbeat. And then she did. It was like swallowing lightning. Memories that weren't hers slammed into her, centuries of blood, death, love, war, cold nights, and darker kisses. A kingdom of shadows. A throne of pain. And him. Always him. When she opened her eyes, the world had changed. Colors glowed. Time slowed. Her skin prickled with new life. She looked at him, and she understood everything. "You're mine," he whispered. "No," she said softly. "We're each other's." Behind them, the door slammed shut. And a dozen red eyes glowed in the shadows. "They found us," he said. Anna smiled, her fangs barely peeking out. "Let them come." He looked at her in awe. "You're not afraid?" She stepped forward, standing beside him. "I was. Once. But now I'm hungry."